Obama had the recent...
These people are a bunch of bobbleheads. Can you bring up the Washington Post, Greg Miller's interview?
I feel very confident knowing what I know.
We use anonymous sources reluctantly. Obviously, ideally, in an ideal world, we'd be able to name all of our sources and have full transparency to our readers. And so but that's not possible, especially in the kind of reporting that we're talking about here, national security reporting, reporting on sensitive intelligence assessments that are often classified. So there is this trade-off. Does the public need to know this information? And in a case like this, the answer is clearly yes. And the other point I would make is just that we may never know the extent of Putin's involvement in this. The CIA may never know. But, that shouldn't preclude us from trying to get out stories that get at critical kind of milestone developments in the ongoing investigation of what looks to be a fairly serious Russian intervention in a U.S. election. If we were to be held to this sort of standard of we need evidence, hard evidence that we can lay out for readers in all of these cases. This story might not have run. The American public might not know about this. And frankly, I would welcome Glenn Greenwald and others to do their own reporting and to see how it lines up.
Well, it looks like if Miller ever loses his job as a journalist, he shouldn't have a problem getting a job as a used car salesman with talk like that. Turn it on CNN, please.
The Russians, it looks like to me, did interfere in our elections. We'll never be able to decide whether they changed the outcome. But I tell you, having worked in the CIA, if we had been caught interfering in European elections or Asian elections or anywhere in the world, those countries would call for new elections. And
are you kidding me? Is this actually Bayer saying this?
I don't see it any other way. The Electoral College before the 19th has got to know whether the Russians had an effect. When a foreign country interferes,
somebody sold their soul to the Saudis.
Is endowed in legitimacy of the government. I don't know how it worked constitutionally.
In Colorado, probably partying at Prince Bandar's chalet too.
Deeply disturbed by the fact that the Russians interfered, and I would like to see the evidence, because if the evidence
sounds like
is
someone's
there,
still taking orders from
headquarters. I don't see any other way than to vote again. As an American
Unbelievable.
citizen. And I want to see the detail. The CIA at this point can't say we have to protect sources and methods. The outcome
Are you kidding me?
is too important. Sometimes you have to sacrifice sources, and I think now's the time.
Well, it sounds like you could put Bayer in the disinfo bin now. Is there anybody else that's commented on this yet?
Colleen Raleigh and Anthony Schaefer commented on the DNC hacks the other day. Do you want to see them?
Oh yeah, good. Put them on downstairs.
Schaefer right now. Lieutenant Colonel, good to see you. Good to see you. What's your take on the different timelines and really Russia's overall impact on our election?
Well, I think, like so many things, it's all about supporting a narrative which is not necessarily true.
I never bought into this Russian narrative ever.
You've never wavered. It's not the Russians. It was anonymous. It was folks inside leaking information to Julian Assange. That's what's going on. And so that narrative doesn't help the Democrats
put his life and career on the line.
So that's why you see people like President Obama,
even when it wasn't popular,
talking out of his rear end, and you have
and it sounds like he still is
kind of talking the truth.
And intelligence has become politicized. I think that's the bigger problem.
John Brennan has completely become politicized in this, and let me be very clear on this. I've said this in several interviews. John Brennan is doing what he's doing by the fact that the FBI has never confirmed what he said. He says the FBI confirmed what he said in an internal memo. And who leaked that? John Brennan. John Brennan's been his own anonymous source. This is what's going on. He is acting completely politically in line with the Democrat Party and what they want to do.
Unfortunately, these allegations that the CIA put out last week, which the FBI apparently doesn't fully agree with, they are in the media being taken as fact. And so you see no indication at all that someone would actually look into the possibility that these were not even hacks, but were leaks. William Binney, an expert on encryption and decryption, he thinks that actually this is more of a leak by an insider. instead of an actual hack. And the reason for that is because the NSA would be the critical agency. Now, we're hearing everything about CIA and FBI. We're hearing nothing from the NSA. But what happens is the NSA is the agency in charge of collecting the information, and they monitor all these communications. And according to Benny, they would know if these emails were leaving, were passing through networks and leaving, and they would actually know the recipient.
Jules, I need you to sweep the internet and find out everything you can about this. It looks like they're ramping up their disinformation campaign now that he's president.
That's not sustainable. So what they want to do instead is conflate our publication of true information with, say, hacking, or rather alleged hacking, of US vote counting machines. And even Obama has had to admit that there has been no hacking of US vote counting machines.
Since it was founded in 2006, WikiLeaks has proven themselves to be 100% credible with the information they disseminate. It's too bad they weren't around some years earlier, when 9/11 happened, and the lies that led to war in Iraq, something every mainstream media outlet failed the public on.
WikiLeaks was working with the Russian government to influence the election. Is that true in any way, shape, matter, or form?
No, that's absolutely false. And if you read their statements carefully, you'll see they don't actually say that. We have said repeatedly over the last 2 months that our source is not the Russian government and it is not state parties.
Jules, what have you found so far?
It looks like the usual suspects are involved. The anonymous source of the disinformation is former director of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Brennan, initially using the Washington Post and the New York Times to spread the false narrative, with the rest of the corporate media outlets following their lead and reporting the same lie, with no evidence to back up the claims. Aside from anonymous sources, who, as we now know, is John Brennan. What is being used is a basic propaganda technique of repetition. Easily susceptible people will start to believe the lies because it becomes ingrained in their psyche, and lays a basic foundation for the manipulator to further build upon the lie at will, as we are now observing.
Hey, thanks for that quick lesson in Propaganda Tactics 101 at the end. So have you found Jim D yet? I really need to talk to him. I have to verify something about Khalid bin Marain and the Hilton Hotel. It's really important.
Tracking down former military intelligence is not as easy as finding a number to the local Walmart. Get your mind off of Fahad al-Thumairy and those guys for a minute. Let's just stay on topic and let me finish.
Sorry.
It's okay. As I was about to say, Jim D3100 dropped some information on the old forum a few days ago concerning PP-Gate. Now pay attention.